Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're having a great day today. We are certainly having a great day. Also, we got a good decision out of the Federal District Court on B&L Productions v. Newsom. We did a video about it last week. This is the gun show lawsuit, but today we are going to take a deeper dive, and to do that, we have brought in the managing attorney at Michelle & Associates, Tiffany Chevrant. Tiffany, thank you for being with us today.
Yeah, as always, good to be here.
Absolutely. But before we get into that today, as always, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to these videos. Hit the little notification bell. It really helps get this information out to as many people as possible. We're also going to hear really quick from one of our sponsors today, the Police Credit Union. As the trusted financial partner for 70 years to law enforcement and their families, your membership helps continue the support of law enforcement officers throughout the state. As a member, you'll have access to all member benefits, including checking accounts with ATM fee rebates and no monthly fees, certificates with highly competitive rates, auto loans, home loans, online technology with 24/7 banking convenience, and much more. And don't forget, the credit union is now extending memberships to CRPA members. So join today at www.thepolicecreditunion.org. The link will be in the description below, and continue to discover the benefits of membership while supporting law enforcement officers today. All right, Tiffany, so let's go ahead and jump into this a little bit. But before we get to the actual lawsuit, something that I wasn't able to really touch on too much in the prior video that we did was really the backstory to this. This is something that CRPA has been fighting for plenty of years. I know that you personally have been involved in this. I personally have been involved with it. It didn't have to do with legislation or anything like that. That was sort of the last-ditch effort from these anti-Second Amendment groups in California. Where I stepped into this was at the fair board level. We had a lot of opposition there. So can you go ahead and just run us through the history of this press, this full court press to get rid of gun shows on state-owned property?
Sure. I think we met at a lot of fair board meetings over the years and on this issue all across the state. And it was one that started several years ago. And it started really with the anti-gun groups really pressing these fair boards to do away with gun shows. And when the fair boards were unable to do that successfully, then that's when the state legislatures jumped in, and we sued in Del Mar. And we actually got a really good ruling there in a federal court, and the state ended up settling with us over that matter. And then the next legislative session, we ended up with another specific law for, again, with Del Mar, where they said now it's not that you can't hold gun shows, but you can't sell ammunition, firearms, or precursor parts. And following that, we had the same thing happen in Orange County with Senator Min and his bill that was specific to Orange County. And then they took it to the full state. So we're dealing with a lot of different pieces of legislation here, a lot of different laws. And this particular win on this injunction came out of the Orange County case and dealing with the full state law.
Well, yeah, I think that's important to kind of understand here. When we go into a lawsuit like this, we're expecting to get a good result because we've really gotten the good results at the local level already. You know, we've been to Cow Palace and fighting there. We've been to Ventura Fairgrounds fighting there. Orange County, Del Mar. Del Mar was really the only place that was able to do anything to kind of stagnate the gun shows. They did end up putting that moratorium on, but like you said, we ended up suing there. I personally have been a part of this and given a lot of testimony at these fair board meetings, and I could tell you, a lot of these fair boards, they want the contracts, they want the shows, and because these anti-Second Amendment groups weren't able to get it done there, they appealed to the very small minority of people that we call legislators to impose their wrath on the entire state. So yeah, we do end up bringing this lawsuit. So what exactly happened? Because this kind of came out of the blue. This was filed a while ago, right? With all this other litigation that we've been seeing action on, this one kind of came out of nowhere. So what was the argument here, and what was the reason for the decision coming out now, and what are the effects that we see going into 2024?
Yeah, so this has been going on for a long time, as you mentioned. What happened is the Del Mar case was first, and in that issue, we actually lost in Del Mar this second time around, and so we appealed that up to the Ninth Circuit. And a lot of that had to do with the judge in that case did not have any kind of additional briefing happen after the Bruin decision, and he just kind of went forward with his decision, and under that type of view of the case, it they didn't think it was as strong, so we've appealed that. Under the Orange County issue and the state law, which are both lumped together in that court, we filed and we briefed and we did an oral argument months ago. It was probably all done around April of this year. So we had kind of been waiting for it to come down, but we didn't know when. We didn't know what was going to happen. We tried to get the Ninth Circuit to hold on moving forward with the case out of Del Mar on that appeal until we heard from Orange County Court, and they would not do that. So we kind of thought, well, here we go. We're just going to go forward with the Del Mar case. And then this one came out from the judge. And in this particular case, the court did have additional briefing, a lot of additional briefing under Bruin that we had to do. So he considered all of that. And with that decision, he came to a different conclusion than what happened in Del Mar. So now we have two competing opinions going forward to the Ninth Circuit, one under Bruin and one not under Bruin analysis, that is. And so basically this case has to do with, again, the state is saying that not that you can't hold gun shows, they're trying to say, but that you can't sell firearms, ammunition, or precursor parts. But we all know, and state legislators have said openly, that this is an attempt to ban a gun show. That's what they're doing. They know that if they take away the ability to buy and sell firearms, ammunition, and precursor parts, there will be no gun show. So they're very aware of that. And so it's been really interesting to see how this case unfolds, because this is really, it's a First Amendment case and a Second Amendment case, and equal protection for that matter. But a lot of the case surrounds the First Amendment, which is very different from what we normally get to talk about here. And that's because they're basically banning gun owners and people in the gun culture from coming together and talking about firearms or politics or any of the things that happen at a gun show. It's a real community and a culture that's there, and they're trying to stop that. And so that's why this is really more of a First Amendment case with some Second Amendment issues thrown into it.
When we've seen some good reactions from the courts recently on First Amendment issues, I'm talking about AB 2571. We just got a Ninth Circuit remanding that back down to the federal district, saying, "Hey, you got this wrong. You gotta really consider these things." So I guess it's time for a little bit of clarification, just on the whole state. You're talking about 4 different pieces of legislation here, right? You're talking about one bill that specifically would have banned gun shows, for lack of a better term, in Del Mar, San Diego. You've got another one that would have done the same thing for Ventura. You've got another one that would have done the same thing for Orange County. And then you have another bill that would have done it for the entire state. This specific lawsuit that we got a victory on, correct me if I'm wrong, took care of the one that encompassed the entire state along with Orange County. Is that right?
That's correct. It's Orange County and then any other venue other than Del Mar or Ventura State Fairgrounds that holds gun shows. And the reason for that is because they do have their own specific laws that were directed towards those facilities. So those issues still have to be played out in the court somehow. But I mean, if these fair boards like Ventura or Del Mar, I mean, once the state law, the law that covers the entire state, which I think is 915, SB 915, once that gets fully litigated, if it comes down that is unconstitutional, then they can't really continue banning gun shows at their facilities either, because all of those laws are all based on the same thing. And as a matter of fact, they copy and pasted the legislation from the Del Mar from the Del Mar legislation 893 into each of these other bills. They even left the same language sometimes that's talked about Del Mar. So we know it was a copy paste job. So there's nothing different about the Del Mar, the Ventura, than there is Orange County and the state law.
So I also saw in the order that the fairgrounds had to release dates possible for shows. What does that look like going into 2024? I know that when this legislation was being brought up in the legislature, the shows were kind of grandfathered. It wasn't something where it was one day you could have gun shows, the next day you can't. As this legislation continues to move forward in the courts, if we have dates scheduled for gun shows in 2024, if for some reason we get a bad decision, would those stay? Like, what is the outlook of 2024 right now?
Well, right now we've been hearing from people across the state that from members of CRPA actually who have been writing their fair boards and saying we want the gun shows back. So that's a really fun thing to see, that people are getting active and asking for them to come back to their facilities, their local communities. What it means for the contracts for 2024, we aren't really sure at this point. The state has not appealed as right now. They may ask for reconsideration. We're not sure if they'll do that. But as of right now, these facilities have to give dates to the promoters if they have an open date for a gun show. And it doesn't say that it has to go through the process of getting approval. It says that they must give open dates. So my understanding is that that's trying to be set up across the state at different venues. And hopefully we will have some contracts in 2024. And then if the state comes in and says, and tries to challenge the injunction by the end of the month, because we have until I think it's November 29th for them to challenge this injunction. If they come in and try to challenge it before the end of the month and they somehow win that challenge, then we'd have to look at what that means for those shows in 2024, because they're already under contract at that point. So it's a really interesting dynamic to see what would happen. Another interesting piece of that is if the state does try to challenge the injunction, an injunction is based on injury and to a party, and whether or not the status quo is maintained, and the likelihood to succeed on the merits of the case. Well, we've already got a federal court that says we are likely to succeed on the merits of the case, which means we're more likely to win than the state's likely to win. And gun shows went on for 30 years in California at some of these facilities before these laws went into place. There were no major catastrophes at gun shows. There were no criminal activity that anyone's been able to put forward in these cases or in the legislation. And so it'd be really interesting to say that if the court were to say, oh, well, in order to maintain the status quo, we have to keep these laws in place. My opinion is the court should say the status quo is to allow gun shows to proceed, because that's what's been happening for 30 years and there hasn't been any problem. So we're really hopeful that that's where the court will go with it, and that we'll be able to maintain our injunction while the case moves forward.
Well, I am certainly very excited to see gun shows come back. This is still litigation that we can and will follow on the channel. Tiffany, any final thoughts here?
It's just a really exciting day. I mean, like you said, we've been working on these gun shows and fighting for them in California for years. And it's great to see that the things that we were telling these fair boards years ago, these are unconstitutional actions, do not go down this road, that the federal courts are agreeing with us now. And so it's just a really good day to be involved in this, and we're going to keep fighting for it.
Absolutely. Well, Tiffany, I definitely want to thank you for taking the time to be on with us. Hope you have a great day.
Thanks so much.
And we thank you very much. And we want to get these videos out to as many people as possible. So if you like this content, please, you can help do that. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to these videos. Hit that notification bell so that you get notified when we drop them. We want to make sure that the Second Amendment is at the top of everybody's priority list when they go to the ballot box in 2024. We think these videos are going to help do that. Well, thanks again, guys, and we'll see you on the next one.